welcome to Inner Woman Wellness. So today I'm super excited to introduce Libee, who runs the wellbeing and wellness Instagram account. She has some awesome content, and yeah, I'm really excited that she's joined us tonight to have a little chat. Welcome, Libee.
Hi, happy to be here.
How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good. I've had a really busy day, Wellness Wednesday, so this is my first week of doing it. And I've just scheduled my last post for my Facebook page at 7 p.m. and I'm just like, get done, because I had a lot of posts scheduled, and yeah, I've had a busy day. I was doing a course as well from 2 till 5, the art of being. It was really good. It's like mindfulness and meditation, and
Oh, amazing.
I'm doing 2 courses, and yes, it's been an intense day. So I'm like,
I love it.
Wellness Wednesdays.
So what other course are you doing then?
Mindfulness and everyday use.
Oh, amazing.
I was just scrolling through my Facebook and I happened to just come across this lady who does like loads of different stuff like Reiki, meditation, and she was doing a sound bath, which I'd never heard of. And I went on and like just watched it, and then I followed her. But at the end of the sound bath, she said she had 3 spaces for courses. So there was 3 of them, but I just got involved with 2 of them. But they're on for 3 weeks.
Oh, amazing.
3, and I think they're like funded by the college in Peterborough area because that's where she's from. So yeah, today there was like quite a lot of people involved in that one today. About maybe 7 of us, so it was good.
Oh, amazing. That sounds amazing. Everyone needs to learn a bit of mindfulness in their life, that's for sure.
Yeah.
So what I'd love to know like what enabled you to, what kind of prompted you to start your account, and kind of what's your journey? Like, I'd love to know more about your story.
So my journey is obviously I studied psychology when I've said this in my video on my page, for 4 years at university. So I've got a degree in psychology. So I've always had like a passion and interest in well-being, the mind, everything to do with that. But it just kind of fell away a little bit. So I graduated and I worked in a dementia unit, which obviously like it was still related to psychology, but it wasn't my dream. It wasn't what I wanted to do. And I did that for about 3 years after I graduated, and a couple of years whilst I was still at university. And I was just in a rut and I wasn't really happy. So I left and travelled. And in my time of travelling, like everyone, I found a lot out about myself.
Where did you go traveling?
I was in Australia for a year, and then I did Asia. I did parts of Asia, Thailand, Cambodia, and Vietnam. I
Amazing.
taught English in Vietnam for a while as well, but I wish I had did Bali and the Philippines.
Yeah.
I didn't have a lot of money, so I was like, God, it was tough times, but learning curves nevertheless. So yeah, so I came back, and obviously I had no money when I came home, and I just went straight back into care. It was an easy option, quick fix, easy money, and I just found myself in this circle where I was like, okay, I'm just going to work, 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 and travel again. I wanted to travel in Europe, so I wanted to do Greece and Croatia. And I was just like doing crazy hours, like just working myself into the bone. And obviously it's quite a draining job. People don't realise how physically draining and mentally draining it is. And then obviously lockdown happened, and I live at home with my dad. That's the main reason I came home from Australia, or I wouldn't be back in Scotland. And he's elderly, so I couldn't go and work in that vulnerable environment and come home. So I've been basically furloughed for the majority of lockdown, and that's where I started all this stuff. So I was just scrolling through my Facebook again. This just tends to happen to me, and I saw an ad for, it was like a level up your life in lockdown, and I was really apprehensive, like I wasn't going to do it because it all seemed a bit, I don't know, I was just a bit. And then I went on and I done it anyway, and I got joined into this group, and it was just basically to like tasks and things like that. So every day they did a presentation, so it was like confidence, finding out your limiting beliefs, and stuff like that. And it was really, really good. And you basically they challenged you to either do a post, a video, or a live. So it pushed me out of my comfort zone majorly. And I really enjoyed it. So then after that, I also got to see throughout that because the whole purpose of it is a digital marketing company, like trying to get people on board. And I did end up signing up for their platform, but I haven't took on board their, but that's a whole different thing. But I did see that there's a potential to, have an impact online, which I'd never ever thought about before. So then I started going live on a page that is just set up by a guy from Essex who's a policeman, and he just set it up purely for lockdown, I think, or it might have been set up beforehand, but he was doing daily check-ins. So like 10 o'clock, he was coming on with a coffee and just chatting to people. And I really, really liked the idea of it. Like, I thought it was an amazing idea, like just to have people on and just something, a bit of socialising for people that were isolating alone as well. So I messaged him, and then I ended up going live on that. So I did a few, and it was quite daunting to begin with, but I started really enjoying it, and people were very responsive with like the content that I had for it. So I set up my Instagram, and I just had my Instagram for a while, and then again, the universe just sends me things, honestly. I got an advertisement about a company, Hello Day, which I then started emailing one of the girls who was lovely, and I had a couple of phone calls with her, and I had time to think about it, and then I became affiliated with them just as an ambassador. But the whole company's just about wellbeing and wellness. It fitted very, very.
Mm-hmm.
So that kind of spurred me on to make my Facebook page, and yeah, that's just where it all started from. And I'm loving it, and it's opened my eyes to the Instagram world of all this. Obviously, I have seen, you do see things on your personal Instagram, but I didn't realise there was such a community of people, and it's so inspiring to see that people genuinely come together just to, promote positivity and help other people out there. So and I've also massive change, but I've told my work that I'm not going back full time to care. I do not want to be in that career path anymore. I want to really pursue what I'm doing online and offline. So that means getting a different kind of job that is serving my purpose and that is more relatable to my degree. So yeah, I've had major shifts in myself throughout this time.
That's really
It's been a roller coaster.
yeah.
What about yourself?
So yeah, like I suffer with endometriosis, adenomyosis, and then I had my surgery last year. I wanted to set it up for a while because I had a really bad experience with the doctors being not taking me seriously, keep saying it's because I'm a woman. And I thought, if this is the case just for me with endo, and I know like endo's quite a loud community online anyway, so I knew it happened to a lot more women, but I kind of thought,
What's endo?
so endometriosis, so it's endo, so instead of saying the whole thing, sorry.
Yeah.
So basically, I thought, if this is what I'm dealing with, then let's think wider. Let's think PCOS, menopause, infertility, like mental health. These conditions have such an impact on women's general health and mental health, like on a massive scale, and can completely destroy lives, and to the extent that women have even like committed suicide over it because they're not being heard.
Yeah.
So I was always quite resistant to social media. I was very careful about what I got, what forums I was in, because I didn't want any negativity. Then in March I got made furlough, and I said, you know what, I'm just going to set it up. I'm just going to see what happens, and taught myself how to build a website and do YouTube and do all these other things. And my friends have been like, but you don't do social media, you're like a mum with technology. I'm like, yeah, but look at me now, like, yeah. I love it, and the community's been so supportive and amazing. And I feel like as women, if we all come together, then like we can do amazing things. And I'm a massive believer in collaboration over competition, and I think it's a really exciting time, and it's made me see a whole other side of social media of like the support and the community.
Yeah, and I'm exact same with the community of it.
Yeah, exactly. So
I did see your video with, is it Tempest in the Spoon? Have I said that right?
Yeah.
And I did think it was very inspiring, like that you know, it's a movement for you as
Yeah.
well. It's an actual change that you want,
Yeah.
which is inspiring, and it's also something that I had never thought about, like personally, and it did make me think a lot about, you know, my experiences with the medical industry in relation to, you know, being a woman and periods and everything that comes with that, and yeah, and the being young and stuff, and the embarrassment as well. Like I really liked your idea when you mentioned about, you know, having somebody set aside in a doctor surgery or whatever, like that is purely to deal with these issues for anyone that's experiencing it. So yeah, I did find it inspiring when you were talking about it, because
Oh, thank you.
it's not something that, you know, we think about often, but it is like very true. When you talk about it, it is, and I think most women, or anyone will have experienced it in the medical industry. They've been made to feel that they're not being heard.
Yeah.
But yeah, with that, like obviously that's what you're all about, and I just wanted to, like, I had obviously messaged you earlier about the topic that we were going to chat about, and I just wanted to. It's just crazy again, honest to God, like this universe is it's sending me stuff.
I'm such a massive believer in that though, like the universe. I fully believe it. You put out what you get back what you put out, and it
Yeah.
has your back and it is working with you. And if things don't work out the way you feel, like me getting made redundant, it's an opportunity for me to grow what I'm actually in line with, and where my kind of drive comes from and my passion. And the universe has mysterious ways. So honestly, I'm a massive believer of it.
I really am believing in it more and more each day. But yeah, with that, it was obviously we had scheduled to talk tonight, and then all week I have been feeling so not myself, like just irritable. I'm such a laid back person, like I'm so laid back, and I was just like tiny things were annoying me, and I never thought anything of it. And then I realised that there was like a solar eclipse, like change with the moon,
Yeah.
and I was doing my period, and then magically my period comes today, and I'm just like, oh, that explains a lot.
Yeah.
But also it was like I knew I could feel like I have a contraception which I really want rid of. If it hadn't been for lockdown, it would have been gone like long ago. It's a copper coil, which for
Yeah.
anybody that doesn't know, is a coil that you get like put in your uterus. And the reason I chose the copper coil was during the time when I wanted a contraceptive, I wasn't great in my mental health. I was at uni and I wasn't good, and I decided to get something that wasn't hormonal. So that's the really only option that isn't going to change your hormones. And like I say, I've had it since I was 20 and I'm 25, so that's 5 years that I've had it, and it's not problematic until I start menstruating and I have it, and it's like horrendous. It's just making my pains worse, and I don't really require it anymore. So I do want rid of it. So my periods are normally like a bit sore, but I have been sore for the last week as if it should I should be like on, and I've not been. And it explains a lot with the moon stuff. And like I just started looking into it today, and it is fascinating. Like it's absolutely fascinating. Again, something I would never ever have even thought about or looked into, and now I'm just exploring it all, and I'm like, that is crazy. And it's because like obviously I was having issues, and so many of my friends,
Yeah.
so many have all been the same this month, and I thought this has to tie into something. And then when I saw that, I was like, oh my goodness. And also I found it really interesting because I was like just looking at the basics of like what causes, and it was talking about how the moon affects like the waters and the oceans and stuff, so obviously it affects the fluids in your body. And I was like, it makes so much sense, like it really does. And yeah, it's things like this as well, like that people don't, like in the medical profession and stuff, like they should really be, you know, like you said, if there was someone who was set aside in a doctor's surgery or in a hospital environment to purely look into like periods and all that kind of thing, and any sort of issues with that, then they would be able to also look into that. And advise and give, you know, prepare people as well, because like if I was still working 12-hour shifts, I would be like, and obviously I'm dealing with frail and vulnerable people, and I'm irritable, and I don't have any like, I can't figure out really why until it gets to now where I'm like, oh, okay, makes sense. But if I, you know, had a bit more of an insight into it and was taught in school about that kind of thing, like I'm 25 years of age, and that's me just realizing that the moon has an effect on
Yeah.
cycle.
Exactly, and I think that's the thing, is like people go, oh, it's a bit woo woo, but actually if you think about it and you break it down, when you read into it, it makes so much sense. And I think I've said about this so many times, but like the world that we live in now is you're so overexposed, you're always in front of a screen, it's always stressed, like it's so highly stressful driven, and as women that affects our bodies 10 times more than it does men. And I'm all for us being equal and stuff, but we're not. Like, we are two very different genetic made up sexes, and instead of trying to be a man in a man's world, which I think so many women do, like a lot of the medical studies are based on men. There's a lot of fitness programs and all of that based on men, and we are not small men. Like, we are not, we are completely different. And when we start to listen and get in tune with our body and take things like periods, and when we're run down, and when we feel awful, and when our body is working against us, which I've really struggled with, and I've hated my body for when I've had flare-ups and when I've been suffering from endometriosis, and I've been so angry at it. If you actually take a step back and you frame your mindset in the fact that this is my body telling me something is going on and something is wrong. So it is always, always communicating to you. And it does work on the moon phase. And if we all channel our feminine energy a bit more and actually tuned into that, which is collaboration over competition, it's being in tune with yourself, it's taking time, and it does go back to the moon. Like, it goes back to, at different times we are, so when it's the winter new moon, that's our bleeding menstruation phase. That is when we should be like resting, relaxing, having a bit of quiet time. And you know, it's a really strong theme of like trust and intuition. That's because you have a decline in estrogen and progesterone. So you can feel fatigued, you can feel withdrawn, you feel introspective, you've got bloating, you've got cramps. That is your body saying, just slow down, just have a day, just chill. We do not need to do
I
this.
can totally relate to that, because personally, like, I've been on a health journey, so I'm on week 3 now of like totally clean eating, zero alcohol, really, really looking after myself mentally and physically. And I did, like, I think that's where I have like really questioned, because I've been very in tune with my body, and there's a lot of times where maybe my mood would be affected due to my menstruative cycle, but I would put it down to, oh, I was drinking a lot at the weekend, I'm just like trying to. And this time around, I've been very, very intuitive with it, but I've listened to my body as well. So obviously I've been on a health kick, but I was craving pizza, so I made a healthy version of pizza. So I just used a wrap, smoked
Exactly.
that cheese, and just like made that. And I've had like a couple of comfort food dinners. Like, I made myself a Sunday roast, because I'm just listening to myself and what I need.
And you shouldn't be hard on yourself for that. I think so many women, like, we have such a long to-do list, and we've got to do all these different things, and we, like, you know, we feel like we've got to work out all these times a week and all that, and if we don't, and we make ourselves go and do like these hard hit classes and these hard spin classes, and we do all of these things and go hard, and we plan our social schedule. Actually, if you look at your cycle, different times you should be doing slower activities, you should be going for walks, you should be doing some stretching, some yoga, and you should be planning your big work meetings, your big projects, your creativity moments around your cycle, because each phase of the moon is a different part of what it means to your body. So you have to listen to that, and don't be so hard on yourself. Like, I think we expect so much of ourselves as women that we really struggle to go, do you know what, today I'm just going to have a day, because we feel guilty about it. I do. I sit in front of Netflix and I'm making lists, or I'm doing emails, because I'm like, that will get me ahead of tomorrow.
Yeah.
And it's really hard changing that mindset.
That does just come down to, I think, like, us as humans though, like anyone, of course, like it's just like I have put on one of my blogs, like, and I love this quote, and I also used it when I was doing my training this week, where it's like, we're human beings, we're not human doings, and sometimes we need to just be content in what's happening with us, and take some time to just be. And it is difficult because we do live in a chaotic society, but that's another thing that I have so much got from this lockdown is like being, and just like going out in nature walks on my own, and just or with someone, but like I just feel so much more in tune with myself and the world around me than I did when I was like 100 miles an hour, constantly at work, and then I did take a day off, and okay, I would relax on my day off because I was exhausted, like to the point it wasn't like I was in tune with my body and like I'm doing what my body needs. My body was just like shut down mode. No, you need to rest. And there's a huge difference as well between like getting to that point or just giving yourself the time. Like it's that is well known, isn't it? Like identifying when you're starting to feel that way. And yeah, and I think that like what you're doing as well with your movement and stuff is amazing, because it will make people like it instantly made me think about my like stress cycle and how it affects me. And if I'm honest, like, and if I look back over the years, like it always has affected my mood. And I was having conversations with my friend like the other day on a walk about it all, and she was like, I'm just so lucky. Like any past like relationship I've had and everything, like they've said, oh my god, like you're just so like you're the only like girl I know that's like so like level. And she was like, it just doesn't affect my mood. And it's crazy how some people it can and other people it can't. But for as far back as I remember, I think it always has. And I think I've never been in tune with it because I've suffered with my own mental health issues. I've had a lot going on in my life. Like I had a very traumatic childhood, and then a difficult teen years, and then going into adulthood because of it. So there was a lot of other reasons that I could have looked at. But now that everything's kind of calmed and settled in my life, and I can like look at it, I'm really noticing like there is a certain time. I need to obviously look more into the actual like cycle and all that, the detail of it. But I do know like I start to feel it within myself and my mood and just how I view things and stuff. I become just there we go.
I genuinely, I could be her PR publicist because I rave about this book, but every woman should read this because about menstrual cycles and periods, this has everything about the moon, everything. Like this book should be a woman's Bible, like I swear to God. And it is Fix Your Period by Nicole Jardim. Like it is so good. And her Instagram account is amazing for stuff like that. Like just to keep you in tune with your body and to make you look at things differently.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah. It's it's and just another thing, like when you were showing me that book and stuff there, and I don't know, it just sparked something in me, like when I was thinking about, everything that's going on in the world and the inequality and everything, and it's like in the LGBTQ community, what's been going on as well. And I think about, like, for me, I hate my period, but I am fully identifying as a female. But then I think about, like trans men who are pre-op.
Yeah.
Like, is there support enough for them? Because they're still going to experience, a period to an extent until a certain point. And like, and they're going to completely hate that. And it's things like that as well, where it's like there's so much to what you're talking about. It's not just like, oh, I can't say what endometriosis. I have that, and like it's a huge topic, and it's very important, and it's like you've said as well. Like when I've watched some of your other previous videos, like it's not spoken about enough, and people are scared to like talk about that. And for me, like obviously I'm on this video right now and it's a Zoom call with you and I know we're recording, but I don't know how comfortable I'd be if I was fully live.
Yeah.
Like just talking. But I have deliberately told myself today that I'm going to come on this call and talk about myself, my period, my like as openly as I can, because it's something that you know, it shouldn't be so hush hush and stuff like that, and there should be support for like women that go through this all the time, and obviously like trans people or anyone that's experiencing like pain. And because people underestimate like the pain. Like today I was, during my course, it was like obviously it's a meditation, and afterwards she asked us to rate it, and I rated a 5, and I was like, I have to just rate a 5 because I honestly don't feel like I'm able to like do this because I'm in so much pain with my period. And also like even that, like I don't know if like the other 7 people, like they were all females, because it tends to be like, for some reason, like a female with females, it's okay. Like, so I felt completely comfortable in that group to just say, I'm really sorry, my period. But had there been a man there, I don't know how comfortable I'd have felt, because it's men that seem to be like, you know, like it's like they don't seem to want to go there.
It's just like breaking down that taboo. And I feel like as women, if we talk about like sex and periods and pain more openly, then, you know, it just becomes the norm. But I feel like we're conditioned so much in our first 7 years of life. And I feel like I remember, you know, like my mum would be on her period and she'd like go under the table in her handbag and get a tampon and put it up her sleeve. I then did that, and it's what you learn, and you learn like, and now I'm like, got a fucking tampon, like I'm just gonna go to the bathroom because it's something that's so natural, but it's so like hush hush and taboo. It just shouldn't be. Like, it just really shouldn't be. There's actually an amazing podcast called The Period Party, and they just break down everything. And Nicole was part of it, and they literally just break down everything, and they take on any subject matter, and they just talk about it. And I think the more that we talk about it, and the more that people talk about their stories and their experiences and their health, breaks down that stigma, and it gives people that hope to talk about it, especially with like mental health as well. If people know that there's other people in that situation, it gives them more hope to reach out when they get to that point. And that's what I think is amazing, what's going on at the minute.
Definitely not just a physical process. It really emotionally affects. Like, I'm just so tearful. Like, I swear to God, I went a walk the other day with my friend, and this man had lost his dog. God love him.
That would set me off. No, not my period.
He gave us his number so that we could call him, and we started walking. It was like a cycle track, so it's all like straight. And the next thing we just saw the dog, and we were like, your dog. And he was like, ah. And the dog was like running towards him, and I was like, oh my God, this is what I seen out of Marley and Me. Like, I was tearing up, and my friends were looking at me like, because I am not that person. Like, see, normally I am.
I cried off a hat.
I'm normally quite, like, I've had to be. I went through a lot in my life, so I'm quite strong, but like, no. And I was just like, I need this period to come. Because this was like when I knew it was like due, and that's where I feel I'm at my worst as well. Like, today I'm sore, but mentally I feel like a whole weight has been lifted, because I knew for the last like 4 days I was like, seriously, like, gonna just, because I knew it was like due to come, and it was just getting to that point. I was like so irritable. And now today, like, minus the agony of the cramps and having to take pain relief for that, like, I'm so much in a better place. So people really, really underestimate the mental effect it can have on people, and also when you bring receptors into it. Like, I've had friends over the years who have like openly admitted to me that they were going to like strangle their boyfriend during the night because like they weren't even snoring. Like, they just had the pillow, and they were like, I'm going to do this because of taking the pill. And they had to like come off it, and because it's affecting your hormones, and it's things like that as well. I don't know, because obviously I don't look into it as much as you do, but like, is there a lot of research like into the effects, like long-term effects of
Well, it's kind of, so I'm learning about this all at the minute as well, but it's kind of, for years, I've been put on the pill since I was 14, and I've been put on different ones, didn't work, then they put me on the implant, and that seemed to work. I then had my surgery, I went back on the implant, I tried the coil, that was horrific, never ever again. And then I got put on the implant after my surgery, and I was still constantly bleeding, so I went back to the doctors and I said, like, look, this is driving me mad. And they were like, oh, I'll give you a pill. it's what doctors most frequently prescribe, and it is
exact same.
scary how young the kids are. They've got bad skin, they put them on the pill. They're not even sexually active and kids are going on the pill. And they say, I've asked so many doctors, I said, I've been on this for a really long time, like, is this going to affect me? And they said, no. There are so many more research and stories coming out that the pill actually can affect you long term. And it's down to it. Unfortunately, it's down to women to do their own research these days to get clear. But I feel like because it's been so frequently prescribed for the past, 30 odd years, we actually don't know the full effect of it massively impacting on a wide scale yet, but it's starting to come out, and it's starting to come out in a big way.
I wonder, is there like a correlation with like how are we going to be as a generation when we hit menopause stage?
Exactly, and we haven't hit that stage yet, so it's really hard to know.
It could, this is like flipping the idea completely, but it could actually have like a beneficial effect. I doubt it, but it could. But for me personally, like one of the reasons that I got the copper coil was that I would still have a period.
Yeah.
Exactly for the reason that I just explained, where I've always, when I think back even to being a teenager, I have always like felt a sense of relief when my period finally actually like comes. And I think that again probably goes back to the mood, but I wasn't that aware about it at the time. So for me, the idea of going on like the Mirena coil, for example, or the implant or anything that would completely stop my period felt very unnatural. And I don't know, like for me, I just feel as if like there's a reason. It's like a kind of cleanse like of your body every month. And I just, in my teen head, which is crazy thinking back now because I'm obviously not that age, but in my head I'd be like, is it all just still there? Obviously it's not, but like to me I'd be like, it's just like building up and it needs to go somewhere. But obviously, well, I don't know, maybe it does do that, but that was just how I thought as a teen. And I always was like, no, I don't want anything that's going to make me completely not have one, because I feel like it's a natural thing. And I've got friends, that have been years without one, and I think, and they just get used to it, like they're just used to it, and they say like the opposite of me. They're like, oh no, like I couldn't go back to having one, like they're just so used to, like, and I'm like, oh, I don't know how I'd feel about that, like for my body's sake. I'd be like,
I didn't have one for like 3 or 4 years, and then when I was on the implant, and then which I loved, and because it wasn't pain. I think for me, the women that I've met that are great about not having a period is like people have endometriosis, when that time of the month is just horrific. Like I can't even describe the pain. It's really hard to describe the pain if someone hasn't experienced it.
Get a diagnosis of
oh god, a nightmare. So I've always had really, really heavy periods, like always, and I've always had to it's just completely exhausted me. I've always ended up missing school and work, and it's always been a nightmare. And then I kind of was having when I was on the implant for 3 years and had no period, I was fine, like no issue. I lived a really chaotic life because I worked in TV, and I strongly feel that half of my reason why I've got endometriosis is I was in a really high stressful job. It was so fast paced. It was like work hard, play hard. I put my body through a lot when I look back on it. And I feel it's manifested in my body that way, and a lot of emotional stuff as well. And I feel that's how it manifested.
The reason I asked is just because, thinking of myself personally, I could be suffering from what you have. Never heard of it before in my life until you, and don't have any but then again, I wouldn't really know that properly until I get this contraception on and give myself some time to see if it is that's causing. But even before I had that, I don't ever remember not having issues. I always remember it being a nightmare.
And that's the thing, the problem is Vendo, it mirrors quite a lot of other issues. So this is the problem. So doctors kind of just go, it doesn't show up in test. I had ultrasounds, vaginal ultrasounds, I had everything, and they were like, no, literally can't see anything, you're fine. But if you know your body the most, and this is what I always say, only you know what's going on. If you are in agony every month, you are having extremely heavy periods, it is affecting your life, like the fatigue, you are literally cancelling plans because of it, you're calling in sick because of work for it. Like, that's not normal. That is not normal. If you're having painful sex, which I was.
Also, when you make that point, it just leads me on to when you're saying about how, like, how difficult it is with the medical industry. Also work. Like, I remember, obviously, like, so be it, I wasn't exactly a model employee. I worked in McDonald's when I was like a student, and I worked, like, to be fair, I get where my manager was coming from to an extent, but I was genuinely in agony this day. And I had to, like, tell him, like, I had to be like, and it just totally undermined. Like, it was just like, oh, like, what an excuse. It might have been, like, flip side of it, I am happy to admit that it could have just been like, he was like, you're a nightmare, because I was. But to be fair, like, he was just like, oh, and I've had it in school as well, like, when you would say you didn't want to, like, partake in gym class, and they'd be like, you'd say it was, and they'd be like, oh, exercise helps it. Like, they don't actually, like, ever go, like, ask how much pain you're in, because everybody's different. Like, yeah, okay, there might be a girl that's not that sore and is just acting up a little bit, and the exercise will help it, but you could have someone who's suffering from an underlying condition like you have, undiagnosed, who is genuinely in chronic pain, and you're telling them that exercise is going to help, or that they have to stay at their work.
And that's the thing, like, it goes back to education on a wider scale, but the only way that you can actually tell is a laparoscopy. So it is like, that's when, like, they go through your tummy with a camera and stuff, and they remove, if they find anything, remove it. They found it on my left ovary. I thank God that I kept going back and went to different doctors. I got laughed out of so many doctors, and I'm so glad I kept going back, because that is when I found a doctor who, I had all this research, all this evidence, and I went in just crying. I was like, I'm sure it's this. I can't deal with this pain anymore. And she said, I think you're right. So then she started the test. She sent me to an amazing gynae. And then the surgery came back that I actually did have it. But I had, I think, stage 1. And the thing is, with endo, you could have someone with stage 4 where it's affecting all their other organs. They might not be in pain at all. And it could only be like when they start to have children and stuff that they actually realise that they've got it. But you could have stage 1 and being like I was, in absolute agony, and it ruins your life. So it's such a hard condition. I completely get it's hard for the medical world. But my advice is, if you're in pain, and just keep going to investigate until someone listens, because it's, if you leave it too late, then it can really affect all your other organs. Like, people have had their bowels removed, they've had different organs removed, they've had to have hysterectomies, because it's just absolutely, like, just everywhere inside them. So that's my biggest thing. Is,
like, I do want to honestly, like, personally thank you, because you've kind of inspired me to actually go and get, like,
doctors are gonna hate me.
Get the ball moving with myself, because I have suffered long enough. It might, like, I'm, hoping and manifesting that it's just going to be as simple as remove that contraception, and I'm not going to say it will take away, there's still going to be difficulties there, but the pain level will calm. But yeah, like, thank you, because I needed that advice, to tell me to, like, keep going back. And
it could be different things, like PCOS, polycystic ovary syndrome. That's another one. It could be different things, and that it's just trial and error, but keep going. And also, like, for me, I've had to completely clean up my lifestyle because of the flare-ups that I was getting and the pain I was in. So I've had to not cut out, because I hate using that word. I've had to find alternatives for different things in my life. So it's definitely, I live a lot cleaner now, and I've removed a lot of toxins out of my environment that I'm putting on my skin. I've had to completely strip that back, just to have a bit more, and just think about it a bit more. Like, I'll weigh up a friend's birthday, I'll go out or something, I'll drink and have a great night. The next morning it'll be agony. So I now get to that point where I'm like, is this going to make me feel good? And I think when you get to that point, that if there are certain things that trigger pain, more pain in you, then you kind of have to weigh it up with the benefits versus not.
that's kind of what like I'm trying to promote with my page as well, is like more so my Facebook page. Today, like what Wellness Wednesday was about, is just like getting people to genuinely just think about their wellness, because we just go into autopilot and people just get on with life and they don't ever like stop to think about these things like, is this going to make me feel better? Do the relationships I have with people serve me?
Massive one,
You know, like loads of different things, and that's what my main aim is, with the wellness and well-being like that I'm doing and stuff like that. And I just hope that like I can help, even if I can only help a few people, like on a, to me, like coming across you and what you said and what I'm explaining in this, like about how it sparked something in me, makes me believe that there's something I could be saying on my Facebook lives that's being shared that will spark something in somebody, and it could spiral into a massive lifestyle change or just a massive mental health change, or like viewing herself differently and just putting herself first, because it's so easy to be that person that doesn't ever think about yourself and thinks about other people, and or just keeps yourself busy. And I explained on my live today about like mindfulness and like how it's not just meditation. It's not like saying, oh, let's like, you know, find yourself and become like this guru or like into Buddhism or whatever. It's just genuine mindfulness can just be that check in with yourself, like just, you know, asking yourself, how do I feel right now? Did that make me feel good? No, it didn't. So I'm going to make sure I don't do that again, or I don't let someone speak to me like that again, or just practicing being mindful in your own self. Like it doesn't mean you have to go and read all these self-care books or anything like that. I'm just trying to put it to people simply. And when I put challenges and stuff up today, like I literally put like drink a litre of water before 12 p.m. Go and like go a walk and try and do 10,000 steps. Like it's nothing crazy, but it's things like that where you are genuinely
little
like
things,
your wellness. And if you do
up.
that more consistently, like you're going to become a better, more aware of yourself, and like more healthier, more in tune. And it's just like simple things like that. But
Amazing what you're doing. I love what you're doing. It's such an important thing, and I think people kind of build up health and well-being as kind of. I think it is changing. I think I've spoken about this numerous times, but like therapy and coaching has such a bad negative connotation over here in the UK.
yeah,
And people go, oh, I don't need help, like I'll sort it out myself and all this, and they'll spend money in so many other areas of their life, but the health is always the last one. And for me, I'm a massive believer, like if you invest in yourself, you only have one body, and it's to flip that mindset. And like you look at the NBA players, you look at all the massive sports stars and big Hollywood stars, all that, they all have coaches, they all go to therapy, and it's removing that stigma. And I feel like in the UK we are getting there, but it's breaking it down to say like it's okay if you need help.
yeah.
Everyone needs
Yeah,
help.
I like that the whole online world has came to me, because, you know, for all I know, there could be someone out there that is so in like consumed by that stigma, but they're watching my live today and they're writing down the stuff that I've advised to write down. They're working through like, because I used a model, I used the PERMA model, which like breaks down like parts of your life and stuff, and I've gave people things to think about and write down and then go back and look at and rate parts of their life. And like somebody could be sitting doing that like is keeping this completely hidden, and then it might, do you know what I mean? It might genuinely help them, and then they might realize, okay, do you know what, like I do need help, and it might break the stigma, like they might realize that it can really help to just take that time for you. And like I feel as if I'm like gospelly preaching about writing stuff down right now, but I just can't believe the shift in my life by just like journaling, like gratitude practice, everything that I've started doing throughout this like journey. It's just it's amazing, and that's why I'm going on and giving people activities, because like I said in my live today as well, is like I could quite easily go on these lives and preach about, you know, it's so important to get in tune with yourself and do it, but there's going to be people sitting behind that screen going, how do I do that? So
Yeah,
that's why I had to give. I like to give activities, and give them like a something to write down, ways to actually look at themselves. I've suggested like people go and take personality tests. I'm like, lockdown has, between lockdown and this like annual solar moon, like there's a whole shift in energy, and like everybody's life has been affected by this one way or another. And I think that a lot of people have had awakenings, and that they should really look at that. This is the time to really look at themselves, look at personality tests, like write out what it is they want, find their purpose. Like I was talking about that today, like about people, you know, do people really know what their purpose is? Do people work towards their purpose? Do they like, and in that it gives them accomplishment. So yeah, it's important, and I'm loving it, and I'm going to definitely keep it up. I mean, I've I've left my work now, so I've no other choice. And I spoke to my manager, and I felt a bit about it, because so many people have lost their jobs and stuff like that. But it wasn't just like I was like, oh no, I don't want to go back to, like, I'm pursuing, for me as well, like for my own mental health. Like I'm going to be anxious going back to care and coming home to my dad,
Yeah.
regardless of the virus. Like when I think about it logically now, I think the virus has gave me the scare that I needed. I could be going into care homes and contracting a really bad flu. It's rife. And in places like this, it can't be helped. It just is. It just spreads, and bringing it home to my 72-year-old dad, who that could be detrimental to his health. And do I really want to be going to a job that I'm not even? It'd be different if it was like my life dream. Then okay, like it still wouldn't be justified that I'd come home and like potentially make my dad really ill. But it's not even, you know, it's not serving me. It's not my purpose. It's not what I want to be doing. But it did feel strange, but I'm so glad I took the leap, and that I'm going to just pursue. Like I feel as if I'm pursuing my purpose, which I've always known. Like I've known since I was like really young that I wanted to help people. And I'm not saying like working in care. I'm helping people physically every day and emotionally, and I help families and stuff. But it's not like this. It's not the psychology side, like the real like nitty gritty that I wanted to be doing.
We got big things. If we all stick together and all keep talking, like massive changes can happen. I'm completely sure of it. And yeah, I believe big things are around the corner.
Yeah. Well, it's been lovely to chat to you.
Lovely to chat to you, my darling, and we shall do it again sometime.
We should definitely.
Thank you so much.
Take care.
Take care. Bye.
Bye.